What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. We're talking about Season 2, Episode 6 of 1923. There are things that happen, thankfully, in this episode. Although a little bit slow at times, we see forward progress in our subplots from our main characters. Starting off with Sheriff McDowell showing up in front of Jacob Dutton to warn him that Spencer Dutton is returning home, but that people have ears, and Whitfield probably knows that Spencer will be home in a matter of time. Now, what does that mean? Someone will try to intervene and try to kill him, and as a very passionate and fiery Harrison Ford says, if Spencer is killed, I swear to God, I will burn Whitfield's house to the fucking ground. And honestly, you can't blame him, because I feel like anyone in Jacob Dutton's shoes would probably do the same, because Spencer isn't just a nephew returning home after a war and a long vacation in Africa. He is their only hope for survival in the forward movement of the Dutton legacy. Especially because Jack dies in this episode, Jacob Dutton's son, from being very arrogant, very ignorant, and naive for not staying in the spot that Jacob told him to stay in, and goes off alone, turns into a death scene because he finds Clyde and a couple other people who say, you know, where are you going, who you with, or do you know Spencer? And he just says, yeah, he's the best shooter around, and I'm like the second one, and sure enough, he dies in the process, and Clyde stands over him and says, well, I'm not worried about him if I could just easily kill you. Now, I don't agree with this death happening here in episode 6. I wanted to see some main characters get killed off in the inevitable war that was going to happen, but maybe not Jack Dutton either. So it is interesting, and I think this is going to further the violence and revenge from the Duttons, especially Jacob and probably Spencer once he returns home. Now, I think this does solidify that we know where John Dutton's true lineage comes from. It is Spencer and Alex Dutton. You gotta feel bad for Teonna because she's lost Pete Plenty Clouds from the last episode, in episode 5, as it cuts into this episode here, and you see her father also get killed by Father Renaud. While it was interesting and a bit of a shock that Father Renaud kills U.S. Marshal Kent, calling him the murderer and shooting him 3 times, a little bit of a hypocrisy there because of being a father, man of faith, and then killing someone like that, but it's not so much out of his character because we know that even Father Renaud is not the cleanest person here alive in this show because he's done some horrible things. What's also interesting is that he waits and ambushes both Teonna and her father and makes her beg for mercy and forgiveness, and she doesn't comply, and I don't blame her for that either. And luckily she is able to kill him, and yeah, he probably deserved to die as well because again, he isn't someone who is actually doing the will of God and doing these harmful things filled with hate and death. And again, we know she isn't going to die either because that has to carry on the Rainwater lineage too. When it comes to Donald Whitfield's character here in 1923, we know he's an awful person. He has a lot of sadism that is on full display in both seasons, and I don't think the continuous display of his sadistic nature is furthering this story. I don't think we need to see any more of it because not only is it quite just excessive, but it just seems unnecessary. Like, yes, we get it. You are a deranged person, and honestly, I'm surprised that Banner didn't kill him off and just say, I can't stand by this any further. You know, this is someone's daughter. And Whitfield obviously says yes. And I'd do the same to her mother, which is just like, whoa, dude, you kind of fucked in the head. And based off of Jack's death, we know that Banner and Clyde are obviously trying to assassinate Spencer, which I don't think will go very well because we can see that McDowell and Jacob have gotten to the train station ahead of time. So I wonder if we'll see a brief shootout that will lead to this inevitable bloody war. And unfortunately, Spencer's time is limited here, but the journey on the train adds some small emotional beats. One of the train conductors talking to Spencer realizes that he has a military past and asks, you know, that he served in the war, where, what regiment, and his silence really speaks a lot of volumes and carries a lot of weight because this shows how much someone random like a train conductor knows what Spencer probably went through based on the 1st Division in Argonne, and it shows a lot of respect to Spencer. To me, it almost seems like this is a bit of a metaphor that this is the calm before the storm for Spencer Dutton, like he's a ghost of war that is heading from one to another. And Alex, oh, poor Alex. While we see her in this nice, warm manner with Paul and Hillary, it turns so south, unfortunately, because this portion of the episode has a lot of contrasts with it. And after so many dark and traumatic moments that we've seen here in season 2 that Alex has had to endure, she finally has found some peace, and we want to be happy for her. We want to be glad for her, saying, you know what, things might be on the up and up until she gets to Montana and sees the love of her life. And as she's telling them her story, they believe in her so much that they're emotionally moved, and they devise a plan to travel from where they are in Chicago all the way to Montana. Their road trip is filled with laughter, moments of joy and discovery, learning how to drive, but it's just a fleeting moment in the end. They make it through a few states and get to a gas station, but the woman there at the gas station has a foreshadowing warning for them, saying that they should really take the train from here because there's no more of these. There are no more gas stations along the way. Now, do you think it's Alex's fault for not warning Paul and Hillary, or bringing it up saying, hey, this woman here says that we should consider taking the train because there aren't any more gas stations, or perhaps maybe we should buy some extra gasoline cans filled with gas in them to carry along with us and refill along the way? In a sudden and tragic turn, Paul and Hillary both freeze to death, and Alex is left alone once more. The thing I thought about is, are there deaths on Alex's head? Is she going to have this weight saying they could have been left alive? We all could have been alive and in a much better place if we'd actually just taken the train like the lady at the gas station advised us to. What makes it more interesting is that we know the path that Spencer is on, and if they would have taken the train, they probably would have run into Spencer on that train. And had that been the case, Paul and Hillary would have been left alive. They probably would have been ecstatic to see Alex finally complete and find Spencer. Spencer would have in turn been ecstatic to see her. And the fact that love is reuniting, which makes them fight even more. And honestly, it was a missed moment, I think. But this show is about dragging these characters out in punishment and in just a very cruel way with their experiences, because, you know, life was very hard back then. Overall, I'd say this is a pretty decent episode. We saw a lot of emotional devastation here and plot shifts. We saw Jack die, Paul and Hillary die, Teonna's father die, confirmation of Pete die. We saw Father Renaud and U.S. Marshal Kent also get killed off. So there were a lot of deaths in this episode. It does show, though, that the main characters keep pushing forward, whereas the side characters are removed because the main characters are the ones that keep the bloodlines moving forward in the Yellowstone universe. The questions I have for people in this episode are, do you think that Jack's death was necessary, or was it too soon? Do we think that Teonna is the most resilient character in this episode, or do we think it might be Alex or Spencer? Is the show overusing Whitfield's cruelty to make its point, or have we seen enough so far? Or how tragic it is for Alex not taking the train and narrowly missing Spencer? That'll do it for this episode. I appreciate you watching this video if you've made it this far, and if you did, I would appreciate it if you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel for more videos and content, hit the bell for notifications, and I'll see you on the next video here on the Plot Strikes Back. Cheers.